Hello and welcome. I am Izzy, aka the Zap Lab, and this is Diaries. So this video is kind of a little bit of a follow-on from the first video. So the first video I was doing dye experiments and a bit of exhaust dyeing with madder and brazilwood, and then also crabapple, avocado, and a little bit about turmeric. So the reason I was doing those experiments is because I needed to naturally dye some fabric and yarn for one of my university projects. So me and my friend Pop are working together on these. I will insert their socials on the screen and in the description. Please go and check them out and support them. They are amazing. So we're making a French memo board and reupholstering a lampshade together. So we wanted to naturally dye our fabric for this, so naturally. So I needed to do some experiments just to work out what colours we can get and what hues and things like that. So I will insert some clips of me dyeing the fabric right now. Okay, so we started off by mordanting my fabric, and I also mordanted some fibres at the same time. So this is some Devon wool, some alpaca, and then I've got masham and mohair locks from barn to yarn. I've also got some silk. So the dyes I'm using is madder and brazilwood. So I'm about to weigh that up here, and Jordan at Jackass Collective, if you are watching, this one is for you. This is like a ventilation thing that sucks down air, so any loose dye particles floating around while I'm weighing up get sucked down so I don't breathe them in, so we've got double protection there, so I thought you'd like that one. So this is me weighing the brazilwood and then the madder. Okay, so on the right here we've got madder, and then on the left we've got the brazilwood. So here I am adding that to some water. That is so satisfying to watch, and I'm just rinsing it out to make sure I get as much of the dye as possible. And we're going to jump ahead here. So this is the turmeric dye, very yellow, very nice. And then this is the brazilwood dye. And then here they are hanging up before drying, and this is what they look like after drying. Very pastel, very cute, very nice. So when I dyed the fabrics, I obviously did some exhaust dyeing as well, so that I could use up all the colour in the dye vats. Before I talk through the exhaust dyes, I'll just show you, so the yarn I dyed for making a crochet trim was dyed with madder. This is that yarn. I'll insert better clips of that now. This is a mercerized cotton 4-ply or fingering weight yarn, and I dyed it with madder. And honestly, it took the dye so quickly. This was it after like 10 minutes. So I had 2 skeins of that, but obviously I've been using it to make the trim, and I'll use this for the rest of that trim. Okay, so this is the fibres that I exhaust dyed from the madder dye pot after dyeing that yarn. I will also insert some better clips of that now. So I've got mohair, masham locks, some Devon wool and some alpaca, and I did 2 dips in that. So the darker orange colour is from the first dip, and then the second orange colour, like the peachy colour, is from the second dip of that. Okay, so one of my course tutors said to me, Izzy, I've got a dye vat left over from a workshop for some university induction that they were doing, and she said, do you want to use up some of the dye? And of course I said yes, so I took the opportunity to dye some more fibres. So the dye vat was Black Knight, which is a scabious type flower. I will insert the name on the screen here. We've dyed with this before. I've actually got an experiment from when I did my natural dye inductions right at the start of my first year, but I haven't dyed with it since. So I also dyed some silk, mohair, masham locks, some wool, and also a skein of yarn. So the results of this dye bath was just like a super silvery colour. I think it's because the dye vat had been used quite a lot before I got my hands on it. But what was really interesting was that the colour of the water was still super dark, so even after I dyed from it, you probably could have got some more colour out of it. What I found super interesting though when I dyed it, right? So the silk I put in like for like I put all the fibres in at the same time, right? And the silk after like 10 minutes had gone this dark purple colour. So I was like, whoa, stunning. So silk took the scabious dye super well. I then modified it and I got like a green from soda ash and then like a almost blue colour from iron. The silk's just stunning purple colours and then the greeny bluey colours. Okay, so the final thing that I need to talk about is my turmeric dye. So these fibres I dyed during the experiment in the first video, and then I just exhausted the fabric dye bath with 2 skeins of yarn. Super stunning, super bright. A little bit of a sad thing has happened. So I knew that turmeric wasn't super light fast and it can fade quite a lot in direct sunlight. And what happened was these were sat somewhere where the sun shifted over and they were sat in direct sunlight. So that's the side that wasn't in direct sunlight. And if I turn that round, you can see that the colour has shifted and paled. And like, I only dyed this not very long ago and it's already paled a lot. So I am quite sad about that. But this is an opportunity for me to over dye this with another yellow colour natural dye so that when the turmeric fades, there is another dye that is giving some yellow so that it doesn't completely fade away to nothing. I've seen online people talking about how turmeric gives amazing results, but it is best to dye it with another yellow tone natural dye so that when the turmeric fades, which it inevitably will, because it's not very light fast, then you've still got a base colour so that you don't completely lose all of it. So that is leading me on to today's experiment, which is dandelion dyeing. It is kind of a nice day today. The sun is sort of shining and I've been meaning to dye with dandelions for like over a year now. And the lawn is currently covered with them. So I've got a little basket. I'm gonna go and pick some and then we're gonna do a little dye experiment and see what colour we can get. I want to dye some more mohair and masham locks. Let's go pick some dandelions. I did something to the microphone accidentally, so the audio is bad in the previous clips, but I have about 30 grams of picked dandelions. And now I'm gonna weigh up the fibre, like the fabric samples that I use to do my dye experiments on different fibre types. And then I'm also gonna weigh up some mohair and some wool locks, maybe some silk, just so I know how much is going in, and then I'm just gonna put it all in one dye bath rather than like dyeing my samples and then dyeing silk so that it's like all takes the dye at the same time. Don't know if that makes any sense, but that's what I'm gonna do. Oh, also, I'm heating it in a double boiler right now. Doing that for about half an hour. I'm using a double boiler because if you boil the actual dye bath and you get it too hot, it can like destroy the colour and it can alter the colour. So to get a better result, I use a double boiler just because I don't have a thermometer to check the temperature at it. I use a thermometer when I do stuff in uni because I have them, and it's best to be just below about 80 degrees. Okay, so what you see me doing here in this clip is actually adding some more dandelions into my double boiler. I checked the colour from the 30 grams I'd initially put in, and it just honestly wasn't enough. So I picked, I think it was 20 grams more dandelion, so I've got 50 grams total in the dye pot now. Okay, so this has been heating for about half an hour. There is a bit of colour in there, but I think I'm just going to... It's not as much colour as I was hoping for, but I'm going to leave the flowers in there. I'm just going to pop all of this in. And then I'm going to leave it with heat for like at least half an hour. And then I will turn the heat off, and then I will leave it either overnight or for a few hours. But we will see what colour we get. Hello there, this is a quick update. So I was doing the dandelion dye yesterday, and this morning when I checked on it, didn't seem like much colour had taken, so I put it on with heat again, just in the hopes that something would happen. I don't think it has, but I'm going to rinse this out now. And then also last night I found that I had some red cabbage that was going a little bit gross, so I cut some of that up and I was simmering that earlier. So once I've emptied this jar, I will then be doing some red cabbage dye experiments. I'm going to split the liquid into two, so I'm going to measure it, split it equally in half, and then in one half I'm going to add some white vinegar because I know that that will alter the colour to pink, I think, because I dyed with red cabbage a year and a bit ago, and I got a lilac and a pink out of it, so I'm going to do that and dye some silk and some wool locks. Yeah. So quick update again here. I read in a natural dye book that I have that when you're dyeing with vegetables, it's actually best to do cold dyeing rather than heating, and to just leave it in for a number of days. So that's what I'm going to do with these. I've lifted out the silk from both of them because the silk has taken the colour on really, really well, just because I want to give the other fibres a chance to take on the colour. I'm going to leave these. They've already been in there for almost 24 hours now, but I think I'm going to leave them maybe for 2 days, maybe? I'm not sure. This right here is the dandelion dye results, and it's not as dark as I was hoping it would be, so I've gone out today and I've just picked some more dandelions from the lawn, and I've got like 110 grams, which is two times more than I had when I dyed this, so I think that over dyed on this will give me a nicer colour, so I'm going to pop that back in. I'm going to pop this in the dye later, and then I'm just going to leave it again the same as the other two vats for a couple of days, and then I'll rinse them all at the same time, and hopefully the colour will be nice and bright. Okay, so I just rinsed all of these, and I wanted to film this just as partly for a reminder for myself, but the stuff in the middle, right, that was the red cabbage that had vinegar in it, and it has altered the colour slightly. It is ever so slightly more pink, not like by a huge amount, but it has actually helped the fibres, especially the wool locks, to take the colour. So the stuff on the far left here, I think I might try and re-dye those locks with red cabbage, but definitely add vinegar, but maybe add more vinegar and just do the locks, and see if I can get a slightly darker colour. And yeah, the dandelion second dye I'm very, very happy with. It is like the sort of spring yellow I was going for. Okay, bye! Hello there. So this video has kind of been a work in progress for what feels like weeks now, which is a little bit frustrating, but it is what it is. I think it's because the dye experiments I did with the dandelion and the red cabbage, they didn't turn out as good as I was expecting, and I wanted to over dye them and finish over dyeing them, and have like more successful results to share with you guys in this video. So I'm really, really happy with all of all of the lovely wool locks that I've got naturally dyed now, and I will be making some of them available for you guys in a future shop update. And yeah, just wanted to quickly talk about the red cabbage second dye that I did with the cold dyeing left like for 4 days. I put lots of vinegar in it, like I did with the first experiment, and weirdly enough, the colour wasn't a pinky purple like I was expecting. It's this stunning, stunning rose gold colour, and honestly, I'm obsessed with it. I'll show you what all of my naturally dyed wool locks look like here, and oh my goodness, this is like, I don't know, like pastel, silvery, it's like metal. I love it. They are so beautiful. So I'm very, very happy, and I'm very glad that I took the time to re-dye and just like natural dyeing is a bit frustrating because to get really good results, you do have to put a lot of time into it and you have to wait for stuff, but it's so, so worth it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you again. Yeah, please let me know what you think in the comments and let me know your favourite natural dye that I have used in this video. I honestly, I couldn't tell you what my favourite one was. I love them all so much. Yeah, thank you so much, and I will see you guys in the next one.